Professor Black Ops, you see it. Let's get it. Lazarus hackers target Windows IIS web service for initial access. We know Lazarus Group is one of the top hacking groups out there, and we know Windows IIS is one of the most used web servers out there. So let's get at the article. Notorious North Korean state-backed hackers known as the Lazarus Group are now targeting vulnerable Windows Internet Information Servers, IIS, web service to gain initial access to corporate network. Lazarus is primarily financially motivated, with many analysts believing the hackers' malicious activities help fund North Korea's weapons development program. However, the group has been involved in several espionage operations. The latest tactic of targeting Windows IIS servers was discovered by a South Korean researcher at the AhnLab Laboratory Security Emergency Response Center, the ASEC. Attackers on IIS servers, Windows Internet Information Servers, web servers are used by organizations of all sizes for hosting web contents like sites, app services such as Microsoft Exchange, Outlook on the web. It is a flexible solution that has been available since the launch of Windows NT, supporting HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, FTPS, SMTP, and NTP protocols. Like, it's one of the most widely used web servers out there. A lot of Windows shops are going to use Windows web server, right? However, the servers are poorly managed or outdated. They can act as a network entry point for hackers. Previously, Symantec reported about hackers deploying malware on IIS to execute a command on the breach system via web requests, evading detections from security tools. A separate report revealed the hacking group named as Cranfly was employing an unknown technique of malware control by using IIS web server logs. The Lazarus attackers on IIS. Lazarus first gained access to IIS servers using known vulnerabilities or misconfigurations that allow the threat actor to create files on IIS servers using Web3 WebP exe process. The hackers drop word conversion.exe, a legitimate file that's part of the Microsoft Office, a malicious DLL, in the same folder, and an encoded file named MSVR100.dat. Upon launching the word conversion.exe, the malicious code in the DLL loads to decrypt SASA 20 encoded executable from the Microsoft VCR100.dat, executing in memory where the antivirus tools can't even detect it. Right? So that's one of the things is when you get stuff in memory, how can you detect it? Most times it's too late. The ASEC was one of several code similarity between the MS-VCR100 DLL and another malware it observed last year, which was used by Lazarus to disable anti-malware program using the bring your own vulnerability driver technique. Hence, the ASEC considered a newly discovered DLL file as a new variant of the same malware. So that's the original MS VCR100. That's the new one, CYLVC. So you can see similarities. So once again, the link will be in the description. In the second phase of the attack, Lazarus created a second malware, diagram DLL, by exploiting the Notepad++ plugin. That's a very useful tool, Notepad+. It's a text editor with a lot of enterprise features in it. The second malware receives a new payload encoding in the RC algorithms. This time, decrypts it using a hard-coded key, executing in memory for the evasion. The SEC could not determine what this payload did on the breach system, but it saw signs of LS dumping the pointer to create confidential theft activity. This shows you the files running in. That's the run DLL. That shows you the diagram GN DLL and what it's doing. The final setup for the Lazarus attack was perform network reconnaissance and lateral movement through port 3389 remote desktop using valid credentials, presumably stolen in the previous step. However, ASEC was not uncovering any malicious activity after the attackers spread laterally on the network. As Lazarus relying heavily on DLL sideloading as part of their attack, ASEC recommends the organization monitor for abnormal process execution. So that's pretty hard for abnormal process execution because most companies don't really know what their baseline is. So, in particular, since the threat group primarily uses the DLL sideloading technique during their initial infiltration, companies should proactively monitor abnormal process execution relationship and take preemptive measures to prevent the threat group from carrying out activities such as information exfiltration and lateral movement. Conclude the report. So once again, the Lazarus Group, let's get to the top and see it. The Lazarus hackers are targeting Windows IIS web servers for initial access. Be careful out there using Windows IIS web server. Make sure you're patched and all your malware and virus protection is up to date. Once again, Professor Black Ops, please subscribe.